Oh man, that was close. That was a close call right there. What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, and unless you've been living under a rock, when it comes to droning, FPV has pretty much become the new biggest fad. And thanks to today's sponsor, Storyblocks, I was able to actually get my hands on the brand new DJI FPV drone to test it out and find out, is this a drone that filmmakers and freelance filmmakers should be really considering as a go-to tool for their own creative work. Now let me make this very clear at the beginning of this video. I am brand new when it comes to FPV droning. I've never done this before. I've actually been a little intimidated by it, if I'm being 100% honest. The whole build it, DIY, using soldering boards and figuring out power and voltage really kind of freaked me out and kind of really just kept me away from the entire thing. Although I have been kind of a fan from a distance, but now that DJI has pretty much simplified all that and put it into a nice, small, compact package, so for someone as simple as me can pick it up, has made me where I'm at that point now where I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and give this a shot and see if it's something that I want to try out. Now, the other thing I do have to say is that I am not completely new to droning though. I have been flying drones for I don't know how many years and have clocked so many miles and so many hours at this point due to all of the real estate videos that I've been shooting over the years. So I was really hoping that when I first got into this FPV drone that a lot of that information would translate over, in which I can say now that a good amount of it did, but this still is a completely different experience. So let's run through a couple of the specs real quick on this drone. So first of all, this drone has a camera that allows you to shoot in 4K at up to 60 frames per second. Now, you don't have to shoot at 60 frames per second. You can actually still shoot in 24 frames, but when you're going that fast, I have found that it's a little bit of a sharper and easier to digest image when you are shooting at 60 frames per second, but that's gonna be kind of left up to the interpreter and also kind of decide if you wanna use this in a cinematic sequence, which we'll kind of talk about some of those things a little bit towards the end. The other thing is that this thing can shoot up to 20 minutes on a single battery. This is kind of normal for someone like me when it comes to shooting other DJI drones, but apparently in the FPV world, this is groundbreaking that you can have this much time on a single battery. So I do like that that is there, especially for someone like myself who's learning, and so I need as much time in the air as I possibly can without having to constantly do battery swaps. Alright, I'm officially in sports mode, and holy crap, this is fast. First flight, success, so much fun. It's very different. It's very different than flying a normal drone. Just the way that it actually handles the horizon and everything, completely different. But first flight was a success. This is my first time flying FPV ever. I think I can manage this. Now my first impression after flying this drone is that first of all, it is fun. Like, It's so immersive with the goggles. It legit feels like you are flying. It can almost be a little disorienting sometimes. I actually find myself like leaning into turns and stuff, even though that's not actually physically going to change anything. But I will say the first thing you experience with this is just the fun of flying. The next thing you quickly realize is that this is a lot harder than it looks. When you see all these amazing FPV pilots constantly doing these amazing acrobats with their drone and getting these fantastic shots, you quickly realize that this takes hard work. This is not gonna come overnight, and just because you have been able to fly other drones doesn't mean that you're gonna be able to control your drone, especially at these high rates of speed, and also be able to get all the creative shots. Now, the functionality of this drone is easy. I mean, it's very easy to set the entire thing up. You just throw your 4 propellers on there, you turn on your controller, you turn on the drone, and then you attach your actual goggles to the battery, you turn on that battery, and then everything just automatically connects to itself. Now, there are a couple things here when we get into some of the accessories that I don't necessarily like. For example, when it comes to the goggles themselves, you have this long cable that you have to run from the goggles to the battery. Now, I personally wish that there was a way to attach the battery itself to the goggles, or have the headband to have a place for the battery and to do some cable management. I'm sure a third-party company is gonna come out with a way to solve this. And yes, you could technically just kind of tuck it in there because it is elastic, but it's not as comfortable as I think it could be. Now, before we jump into should freelancers and filmmakers be picking up this drone, let's quickly thank today's sponsor, Storyblocks, for really 2 big reasons. See, first, Storyblocks is an awesome platform with over 1 million assets for you to be able to use, such as stock video, as well as plugins and templates for Final Cut, Premiere, and After Effects. Another thing that I love about working with Storyblocks is the fact that you get unlimited downloads of their over 1 million assets for 1 low monthly cost. And you don't just have to use these assets for your own personal projects, but you could also use them for your client projects as well. So be sure to check out the links down below to Storyblocks. But the second reason why I want to talk about Storyblocks here is because it's something that I actually realized when I went onto Storyblocks' website. See, this is another area where I personally think that FPV droning can be really beneficial to freelancers and filmmakers. It's the fact that this is a new wave that more people are going to be able to get into with drones like this DJI FPV. See, there's a lack of stock video when it comes to FPV droning. So if you are a freelancer and you're thinking about getting into the FPV game, think about using Storyblocks or being able to create some stock video. So that could be another business avenue for you to be able to use this drone in. Now, when it comes to being a freelancer or filmmaker, should you pick up this drone? Well, it really depends on how you plan on using it. You know, personally, I don't think that this drone is gonna replace your normal Mavic Pros or Inspires or Phantom 4s because it just has a different look. For example, it is really hard to keep a solid horizon line, which granted, yes, that is kind of the FPV way, so it's not trying to do that with this drone, but you gotta ask yourself, if you're gonna try to use it like a normal drone, is that gonna be a problem for your footage? This is a tool in the droning space. I personally think that you're still gonna have reasons to have a normal drone, and then you may have reasons why an FPV drone can come in handy. Because FPV is still new, but it is super trendy right now, it can definitely help your footage to stand out and to look more exciting and more amazing just because it's different. You know, I'm not selling everything and going all in on FPV right now, but it is a lot of fun, and I do plan on doing more FPV videos in the future. I'm really excited to kind of learn how to do the weaves and to eventually learn how to do that roll flip, you know, when you make the drone flip upside down. I'm nowhere near ready for that yet, but in the future, I know I will be. So let me know any questions, or if you are an FPV drone pilot and you have any insight that can help me in the future, leave those all down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.